bring it. All right, let's bring it. East Palestine. Oh no, wait. Welcome to hell, because the ground is poisoned. And wow, Julia Conley over at Common Dreams. Common Dreams is an Indie Media Award honoree. Come on, hit the button. I know. Dun, 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 or whatever.
Oh, it's all the way. That's all the way up at the top. You gotta prepare me. Where's it at?
All right, we'll have to fix this in post. Thank you. We'll have to fix that in post.
I got it.
All right, so yeah, get our grandkids out.
Do it again.
Julia Conley over at Common Dreams. She's an incredible Common Dreams is an Indie Media Award honoree. They're an incredible publication. So support them for sure. Get our grandkids out. East Palestine residents. Smooth take. Yeah, thank you. East Palestine residents are erupting at Norfolk Southern. Very smooth. Every day that this community doesn't have relocation options, all right, is another day that this community is in crisis. And Julia writes up a very high level. These people are being poisoned. The rail companies are really basically offering them very little to nothing at this point. This was on Monday already. This was or 9 days ago. So a few things happened throughout the week. So we'll go back and we'll take a couple of highlights throughout the week of what happened to these people in real time. Like, can you imagine living there and having been put through this ringer? So first, it's every day the community doesn't have relocation options is another day we're in crisis, and they don't. So what's happening? Around 200 residents directly confronted Norfolk Southern Rep on Thursday, right? That was on March 3rd, but prior to March 3rd, voicing their anger and concern that they'll continue to get sicker because of the toxic chemicals. No one's coming to save us, right? That's a CBS Morning News report. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to click on it because we'll definitely get dinged. I know they pulled down Krebs' stream yesterday. Ahead of the Thursday meeting, EPA also ordered testing in East Palestine for dioxins. And I want to give a big shout out to Last American Vagabond, Ryan Christian, who's been talking heavily about dioxins for weeks before, and as well as Aaron Brockovich and Addy Ads and Jeremy Lafredo. And there are other reporters that have all been on the ground. There have been others, but not very many. Yeah.
Those who will not be named.
Yes, he will not be named. But ahead of the EPA, they did release a list. The RVO, which is the River Valley Organizing, which is a local grassroots organization, said public pressure from locals pushed officials to even conduct the testing on dioxins. So here's the RVO, their list of 5 demands from East Palestine residents that were agreed upon at another community meeting, including relocation for anyone who wants it, independent environment testing, ongoing medical testing and monitoring, safe disposal of toxic waste, and payment by Norfolk Southern for 100% of the cost of cleanup, which I think the governor even then came out later on in the week and said that he wanted to impose that as well.
Bob Kiss.
3 days later, Julia Conley's doing another follow-up story, and there's a much larger story there. Go to Common Dreams and read the article. I will put the link in the description after the show. I almost always do that, or I try to. Something needs to be turned off and muted. Okay, so this one is we're going to keep pushing till the community gets the help it's owed. All right, the organizers are still getting angry. Yeah, this is not enough. So limited relocation plan. What are they talking about? Well, here's the tweet from River Valley Organizing. Another win. Norfolk Southern has caved to community demands and will pay for relocation for residents. Until the 6th, they didn't want to pay for any relocation. That's amazing. But what they're saying is within 1 mile of the derailment, they'll pay for relocation. For how long? You're about to find out. I think it was 4 days. Okay. It's not like permanent relocation because their ground is poisoned. It's like 4 days. Like that's going to do anything. But
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Right. So United for East Palestine, United for EP, give them a follow and a shout out on Twitter as well. Their team worked with the whole Welton group and they conducted an informal survey of residents living near the derailment sites at different distances. 100 total surveyed. And the questions asked were, have you experienced physical symptoms? and have you smell chemicals in 24 hours. And it's ugly. I mean, it's real ugly. So
Yep.
what are we going to do? You know, what are we doing to help these people? Not much is the sad part.
Yep.
Well, here's what their long-term plan is a safety plan that includes automation, which can
automate.
further endanger workers,
of
right?
Course.
Okay, so this is an article coming out later on in the week, 2 days further. Well, what are we going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future? Well, you can't just replace the manpower with a machine when it's not always as effective. That's true, number one. Number two, you need people on the trains. They have to be monitoring this stuff. So with Norfolk Southern involved in numerous significant train derailments and other accidents in recent weeks, they unveiled on Monday a 6-point safety plan that officials claimed would immediately enhance the safety of its operations. Okay. But critics, including rail workers, were quick to point out that one aspect could worsen the growing problem of reduced railroad crews, which they say has contributed to dangerous conditions on railroads. Yes. So as they reported last month, RWU has called for comprehensive legislation and robust action from regulators to keep rail workers and communities safe, warning that rail workers and rail companies, including Norfolk Southern, have been lobbying for years federal approval to reduce train crews and loosen safety protocols. We've been talking about this precision scheduled railroading, or PSR. That's one of the things they've been, right. And even you know, I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, and he didn't really know anything about PSR and what they were doing, and the fact that these rail guys only get like 33 days off a year and no paid sick days on top of it. Yeah, they get federal holidays, etc. But the way that this PSR works is that they're on shift effectively for like 5 days at a time, and then they're on call. It's insane. And there are fewer and fewer of them. And I'm like, I don't even know why you would go work there unless you're in a town that's absolutely stuck, where there's no other job available, and that's really the best thing that you could take. But it's not a life that's glamorous that people want to necessarily sign up for, but somebody's got to do it. I give them a lot of credit, a lot of respect. I'm not looking down on it at all. It's just not for me personally. I don't. Knowing that that's going to be the life that you have, that you're going to be abused, that you're going to be a union member, but that you're not going to be treated well, that you're not going to be appreciated, and that you're not going, that your time mostly will never be your own. Why would you sign up? Like, I don't know, because they're stuck.
Well, and the other thing that happened this week, which I don't know if you have in here or not, is that, you know, the CEO of Norfolk Southern had, you know, got a slap on the wrist from Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, we got that. That's coming.
Who said like 4 days? Like he brought it down to 4 days. What was their original offer for, like
15
sick days?
They wanted 15. Right. They wanted 15. Right. So
he was like, you better give them 4 days, even though they asked for 15.
Unreal.
Or it's gonna be huge. Like
huge.
Ridiculous.
So, over 50% of the accidents that happened from 2016 to 21 don't even have the ability to be found by the technology that they're looking to use. I mean, and that's someone who's a director of safety for the union. Mm-hmm. Right. So in recent days, rail unions have denounced an attempt by Norfolk Southern to use workers' demands for paid sick leave against them, offering BMWED members 4 days of sick leave, like you just said, in exchange for the union support for its automated inspection program. That's gross. Weaver argued that strong, comprehensive railroad safety legislation is needed to compel railroad companies to keep workers and communities safe. RWU has expressed support for some aspects of the Bipartisan Railway Safety Act of 2020, except, wait a minute, didn't they also say that they want to nationalize the rails? Like, the RWU is now calling for nationalize the rails.
Yes.
All right, because of all this nonsense.
Up.
Go ahead.
Back up. They're offering the union members
4 days.
Your sick leave days, but only 4 of them, which is, of course, what Bernie is trying to push the CEO guy to do, right? So they're like, yeah. We'll give you that if you let us replace your job with robots.
Yep.
That's...
Or half your jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's going on. Welcome to America. Fucking dystopia, like I said.
Yep.
Okay, so welcome to our rails. Welcome to the situation. We need to nationalize. Yeah, but you know what? Even if we nationalize it, so we're going to put some kind of a government committee or a government appointee who's then going to go work for the rail lobbying rail lobbying industry the minute that he leaves the administration and does exactly what the rail companies want anyway. Like, that's why we need to nationalize the whole damn thing. We need to get rid of the private companies. I'm sorry, Warren Buffett, but CSX and Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific and all of them, they all need to be, that is one of the lifebloods. And the fact that we've allowed it to be privatized for profit and we've essentially been held hostage by these companies because they've done massive stock buybacks. They have not invested in upgrading the rails and in maintaining the equipment, because in a lot of cases that's the town's responsibility, and the towns are broke or being starved by the federal government as well. They've got other priorities, and it's a mess. It should be a nationalized system where the same company that is responsible for the trains is responsible for the rails that are underneath it. And I think that in a lot of cases that is not the case. Again, these guys are arguing that support for some aspects of the bipartisan act that was introduced last week, but warn that loopholes will allow companies to avoid the scope of the law without violating the law and ultimately use the legislation to reduce staff. That's exactly what we're saying. That's exactly what they're going to. And like you said, then they haul this clown, Alan Shaw, Norfolk Southern CEO, refuses to commit to even giving workers 7 paid sick days, halting stock buyback.
Right.
And he won't even say that we won't even stop stock buybacks. We'll just continue to make massive profits and artificially inflate the price of our existing stock by taking some off the marketplace and putting it back into our war chest with the profits that we've made. Wow. And he'll just sit there and do it because you know what? There's no repercussions. So Alan Shaw also wouldn't agree to end precision scheduled railroading, which is a Wall Street-led profit-maximizing approach that critics say endangers communities nationwide. I think I just talked about something like that. Yeah, Kenny Stancil, Common Dreams, another Common Dreams Indie Media Award honoree. Come on.
God.
Slipping.
Dude, I even put it on a thing now.
I don't know. I'm so disappointed.
So I can just...
I think I may need it here. So, Shaw. So our CEO, Alan Shaw, refused to commit to providing workers with 7 days of paid sick leave, ceasing stock buybacks, and abandoning Wall Street endorsed policies, like we say, that contribute to the 1,500 plus derailments seen each year in the U.S., including Norfolk Southern's toxic crash near the Ohio-Pennsylvania border last month, as well as the derailment that happened in Alabama just before the multi-millionaire executive testified, literally hours before. It was unbelievable. In remarks prepared for a Senate committee on Environment and Public Works, of course, he didn't write that. His lawyers wrote that. I'm deeply sorry for the impact this derailment has had on the people of East Palestine and the surrounding communities, and I am determined to make it right. Sure you are. But during the committee's hearing, he refused to use the multiple opportunities he was given to publicly commit to enacting any meaningful changes whatsoever.
Of course.
Of course. Oh, no, I don't want that. So following the hearing on Capitol Hill, Food and Water Watch Director Winona Howder, she's a fun one, said in a statement that Shaw's apology today rings hollow. Thank you. Coming as it did after years spent pushing to roll back the very sorts of safety regulations that would have prevented an accident like this. Like I said, I was talking to my father about this, and immediately the Trump administration is the reason why this happened. I said, how long has Joe Biden been president now? Like, they got a transportation secretary who was handed that job as a gift for bowing out of the race when he did. It was supposed to be a cush job, a placeholder job until he got his next job. And man, did he take over at a terrible time. in the year and a half since Mayo Pete has been transportation secretary, you've seen a port crisis where the ships were backed up at port. You've seen an airline crisis where people were stranded in the airport at Christmas. And now you're seeing this monster ridiculousness going on with the rails. And they have oversight over all of it. And they choose not to use it because they're also they're buddy-buddy with the unions. They're buddy-buddy with the rail companies. They're buddy-buddy with the hedge funds that own the rail companies. Oh, yeah, those are owned by, in one case, I believe it's BlackRock. In one case, it's Vanguard. In one case, it's Warren Buffett. It's all of the richest of the rich own the rails in the United States. So, and a couple of them are publicly traded companies, but who are the largest controlling interest shareholders? So Mayo Pete is partially to blame here, but he's not. He's part of the system. He's part of the problem. He's not the problem, and I'm not necessarily blaming him. I'm saying that he certainly, as transportation secretary, has authority to put fines in place, to fine Norfolk Southern for every day that they're not on site doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing to do the cleanup, and to the EPA standards. And the EPA, I don't know where they're at with this. I know that Aaron Brockovich and there are other people that are putting together independent testing lab that are recommending independent testing labs, and we've talked about that. There's nobody coming to save us but us. So if you see, smell, or taste something funny, you say something and speak up, because they're going to first deny it, because liability wise, that's what insurance, is telling them, and the whole country is basically set up that way now. So,
right.
Like we said, Thursday's hearing comes 2 days after NTSB, which is already probing the cause of the East Palestine disaster, announced a special investigation into Norfolk Southern's organization and safety culture. Well, that's a good thing. All right. We're going to stay tuned on this. Like I said, Last American Vagabond has done incredible work. He had an interview just today with somebody who's suing the EPA. Hey, check this out. We did a new Indies Tech Tips. Go over to rumble.com and look up Indies Tech Tips, and did a new one today about Substack. You can get yourself a notebook. We got merch. We got t-shirts. We got tankies. We got knit hats.